Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're going to make a new reaction video to a video called Self-Improvement is the New Depression, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion based on a lot of years of cognitive behavioral therapy and as a cognitive behavioral therapist, psychotherapist, and especially inner fighter. So I'm going to give you my reaction to what this interesting lady is saying. I have not seen this video, so it's going to be a surprise even for me. So let's get started.
I embarked on a self-improvement journey, wanting to become more confident, wanting to start a side hustle, wanting to get a successful job. And although I did what I set out to do, looking back, it was a big blessing and a huge curse. I couldn't help but feel like every book I read was equal parts helpful as it was demotivating. With every improvement I made, there was always more that I could do. Any day.
Yeah, this usually stems from the idea of being a perfectionist, because wanting to always have it all and be on the edge, like our hustle culture that is, instead of setting us free from the inside out, as I always say, it's making us even more enslaved. And the problem is that this slavery comes from the inside, not from the outside, and from these ideas that some authors divulge.
Day that I felt lazy or just simply not up to it, I had this little voice in the back of my mind that was telling me about discipline is more important than motivation.
Yeah, she felt trapped because she had all those ideas in her mind telling her that she has to be perfect and she has to has that, and that, and she has to be like that, and that. So instead of coming from a place of inner strength, she came from a place of outer comparison with the ideas that she got from books.
Like, I was never allowed a day off because of all the things that I knew I could be doing. And part of me was
Yes.
thinking that if I really was being honest with myself, self-improvement seems like one of those things that you're attracted to when you're wanting to run towards success. But honestly, how many of us are actually running away from our shame? We want to become successful so that we can one-up all the people that bullied us. Or you want to get a successful job so that you can prove to your parents.
Maybe, yes, it could also be an inner, internal motivation.
That they were wrong. Or you want to become really confident and attractive to prove to all the people who rejected you that they made a mistake. Sometimes I think about how many of us started this journey not entirely to improve ourselves, but partly to escape ourselves. In this video, I'm unpacking how sometimes your secret weapon on the outside can almost be your downfall on the inside. And I'm going to share with you my theory on how self-acceptance is actually the ticket to improving yourself and finally feeling good about yourself. To the cozy corner of the internet. I'm your host Christina, and I help people stop shrinking and start living. I'm a doctor, creator, and coach living and working in the UK, and I help introverts become more of themselves.
Yeah, in UK we have seen it's a really bad place to live right now,
help introverts
especially
transform
as
their
an...
confidence from a 5 out of 10 to a 9 in their
Okay.
activity back in like COVID times. So it's to you guys, but sometimes I do worry about how much data is out there and how much of like your personal information is out there on the internet. Scours the internet.
Okay, this is
Below. I genuinely was reading Atomic Habits to try and like become more productive, or I was reading things.
you see the problem. Atomic Habits: how to become more productive, how to produce more, always more, instead of being more of ourselves, instead of being free from the inside.
Think and Grow Rich to try and like improve my money beliefs. I was reading these books, all these like confidence books, productivity books, genuinely to improve myself, but the motivation was to almost escape myself. I didn't want to be that awkward little 19-year-old. I didn't want to be that girl that had no friends. I didn't want to be a person that's always left out and is never really picked. Let me know in the comments below whether or not that rings true for you. Experience with self-improvement. Like, of course you join, it's self-improvement, so you join to improve yourself, but I think oftentimes the people that feel like they need improvement are people that have been shamed in the past. They're the people that have been ignored or have been rejected.
Yeah, usually because for example, you start off a certain way, and if you grow in a bad place, the community or society is telling you you're not enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not successful enough, you don't come from a rich household enough, etc., 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 and then you try to solve this situation. So instead of owning yourself, being as good as you can from the inside, as I always say, you then take on these beliefs that are actually not empowering. These are self disempowering, and instead of growing, you do grow, but you become even more perfectionistic around the path. And I've noticed that it has happened to me also.
Have been shamed, have been left out. These are going to be the people that have the most motivation to do something about themselves. Because
Yeah, because if you're, I don't know, happy all the time, why would you change?
when I look at myself now, 5 years on from when I started, I'm interested in self-improvement, but I'm not like an addict anymore. The motivation that I had back then is just simply non-existent now. Partly because I feel like the things I was learning back then are just now part of my daily routine. Like all of Atomic Habits is like tips on like tracking things and having a calendar and like changing your identity. Like that is just who I am now. Back then it was like a lesson and I was learning it, but now it's just who I am. Like I don't feel like I need to motivate myself to do it anymore. A couple of weeks ago, I actually had a really heartbreaking conversation with one of you guys. You were always like back where I was. Like I think around about 19, you were like just finishing high school, and you were like quite unhappy with how like no matter what you do, what you achieve, how far you progress, it never feels good enough.
Yeah, because society is putting our standards up in the sky. For example, you read in the news or everywhere you go on the videos, you see always the outliers saying you, okay, this guy saved today saved a bus of small kids and a cat and I don't know what before going to work. And what have you done? Oh, you flossed today. Well, F off, like never enough. And how can you compare with that?
And I remember talking to you, like nodding my head so much. I was, like when you're literally like this, like on a call or something, like I was just relating so much to what you said because I was like, this was me a few years ago. I remember a few years ago, I was learning the skills of like intense discipline, and learn how to just like, Christina, you're good enough. That was never the thing that I learned. And I remember on this call with you talking about how much you'd achieved at high school and how much more you have ahead of you. It almost gets to the point with self-improvement, and I saw this in you, like in this person, like because you never give yourself credit for how far you've come, you almost lose motivation.
Yeah, because so we are doing things for the outside, never for our inside. And it's a crazy concept, thinking about the inside, inside, the inside, the inside. Maybe I should make a video about what does it mean to come from the inside out.
To keep going. Because you already have awards behind you, amazing grades behind you, a promotion behind you, a side hustle behind you. Like, you've got stuff behind you. You've got a pretty decent portfolio of, like, I've done this, this, and this. But because you literally never learned how to give yourself credit.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's you could be happy right now with what you are. So it's usually it's uh, a society's fake way to keep you motivated and to keep you working something that you actually don't want to do.
You're looking to the future of, like, I could work even harder. I could get that job. I could start this side hustle. I could make this much money. But, like, you're not even, like, excited to do it because you're not going to give yourself a reward when you get there.
So I can see that this girl is getting quite a lot of introspection, which is good, but I feel that she doesn't get the point. What's the point to really feeling great on the inside? It does feel to me that she's still chasing outer things before she could give herself um, the approval, self approval that she's chasing.
I remember on the call, I kind of had to be blunt and I was like, do you want to be happy or do you want to be optimized? People that get really obsessed with self improvement have the double edged sword of really removing their feelings from everything that they do. Like, if you're someone that wakes up at 5 a.m., does your homework before your classes, or works on your side hustle before you go to work, you have to absolutely remove, like,
That's the idea of buying your self worth before feeling worthy. It's a trap, a big trap, friends.
I'm tired, I don't want to do it, I don't feel motivated. Like, you have to remove that to get this done. And because
For example, look at a cat. The cat wakes up, she stretches, and she's ready for the day. It's not like that she has to do something to earn her worth. I mean, we just humans created this idea that we have to um, buy or work for our worth.
you remove your feelings from everything, and you remove like the joy from everything, you remove the laziness from everything, all like the emotions are gone from everything, like celebration doesn't seem important. Like, it almost seems like a waste of time. And what I find sometimes when I do talk to people that are like really into self-help, even thinking back to me before, is when you remove your feelings from everything, you almost dehumanize yourself. Like, you almost see yourself as not entitled to feel tired.
Yeah, but usually, as I said, the problem is that they are chasing the worth, and it's an addiction. And so every ounce of worth that you buy, you next time it has to be bigger. Next time it has to be bigger, so it's never enough.
You're not entitled to feel like lazy, demotivated, tired. You're not entitled to celebrate things. Like, you've dehumanized yourself in the process of trying to succeed. Do you want to keep dehumanizing yourself?
No dehumanizing, no. It's the idea of buying worth, my friend.
Brushing your feelings to the side to make more time for work. Brushing celebrations to the side to make more room for your emails. When you think about it, like, each time you say, no, I'm not going to celebrate.
Yeah, we're not living in the moment because society has put in our minds an idea that we have to earn that things. Oh
myself. You're like, no, I'm not going to feel good about myself. Instead, I'm going to work more and feel bad about myself, how much further I have to go. I think as a self-obsessed person, it's really helpful to understand the difference between being a maximizer and being a satisficer. Because self-improvement, I'm saying self-improvement addicts, but self-improvement people, or people who have been on this journey for a long time, and you're now having diminishing returns, you were improving a lot before, but now it's kind of like marginal.
No, as I said, yeah, it is marginal improvements, but it's still the feeling that you don't get your high. Before, for example, you learned a trick, remember in MLMs, and you said, "Hello, Dave. Yes, Dave, I really like you, Dave. How was your week, Dave?" And so then you felt, proud. Yeah, I said Dave 10 times in 2 sentences, and Dave really bought it. He liked me. And so you feel like, wow, ecstatic, I made some progress, nice. And then once you figure out that it's not working, then you crash back down.
Improvements, you're very much in the maximizer camp, and you'd benefit so much from learning a little bit from the satisficer camp. But I've got more on that in a little bit. I had a turning point when I decided that I'm no longer kind of gonna like optimize my life and optimize everything. I actually am gonna choose a little bit more of myself.
You don't need to optimize. You need to choose yourself first and to be who you really are.
I'm gonna
If you don't like to wake up at 5 a.m., don't effing do it. Like a cat.
choose to not grind all weekend. I'm gonna choose to maybe just watch a movie this weekend. I'm gonna choose to be happy rather than be.
Yeah, you see? We have to give ourselves permission to watch a movie, because if we watch a movie when we like, we are slackers. We don't hustle. You see?
Optimize. I'm not going to spend all weekend working on a YouTube video to try and get it out this weekend. Maybe I'll skip an upload this week. Maybe I'll be happy instead of optimize. And this is tough. I've only recently taken like a YouTube break a couple of weeks ago, because running on a hamster wheel month after month, year after year, it's very hard to slow down. Like, you almost build up a bit of stamina. So
yeah, society wants you to do that.
I'm really good at running. You don't know how to start.
It's a 9 to 5 hamster wheel.
Hard way is that the quality of your life doesn't actually have a lot to do with like what's in your life, the awards, the achievement, even a lot of times the money after a certain point.
Yeah, usually, again, as I said, it's about inner freedom, learning how to be innerly free, and then usually things fall into its place.
After a certain income, I guess. Yeah.
So you don't need to learn self-confidence. You need to be who you are and own it.
It has a lot to do with how you feel about yourself. Like, you could tick off absolutely every single thing on your vision board, but still feel crap, because your mind is like, I have so much further to go, rather than I've come so far.
No, I met a guy who has 300 millions, and he's trapped by them because he got lucky with one business venture, and now he started like 30 business ventures and they're not going great as he thought. And so he's trapped and constantly worrying about how could he get back that money. And he said, oh my god, if I bought Bitcoin instead of doing that, I would have had, I don't know, 50 billions, and I would be, he's trapped by that because he didn't got that inner freedom is the answer, not outer freedom in the beginning.
And I know that's cringe. I know everyone
Outer freedom is just the result of that.
hates that thing. Like, look how far you've come. Like, I know that was me a couple months ago. Like, I also found that a bit cringe. But something that I've had to really like instill in my mind is like, Christina, it does not matter what you achieve. Like, if you
No, yeah, when she has money now, money is not important. Yeah, of course.
still feel like behind, if you still feel like this isn't good enough, that is actually how you're going to feel. However, if you literally can't celebrate yourself because you want to get more work done, if you literally can't take a weekend off because you feel like you're going to fall behind, if you can't treat yourself to a new pair of shoes or a new dress because you've had your eye on it for ages because you want to save your money, you don't want to spend anything, you are not going to feel good about yourself. And ultimately, wasn't that the whole point? Didn't we start this to outrun our shame and to
No.
finally feel good about ourselves? Yet here we are, all the achievements, or working towards, maybe you're working towards things, you're getting there, you're improving, like you're working towards all these improvements, but you still don't feel good about yourself. This is where the idea of a maximizer comes in. So like I was saying, there's these two personality types, I want to say. They're a popular differentiator used in psychology. Maximizers are people that want to maximize the amount of research they do. They're buying a new phone. They want to research the price, research the discount codes, research the battery life. They want to research. There's almost no limit to how they could research. Whereas satisficers, they only have a couple important things that they're looking for. They want a phone under $1,000. They want a phone that has a battery life that lasts, a full crazy. Rating, it's more paralyzing. Like, you literally don't know where to go from there. Maximizers are people that want to maximize as much potential from any situation. They want to get the best possible phone for the best possible discount. They want to start their blog in the best possible way, in the best possible post. Versus a satisficer very much just school experience. When you're trying to strive for this 100% standard, 110% standard, where
Yeah, first, society sets a standard for you, and then you buy into it, and you set yourself your own standards based on what society told you to do first.
things need to be literally perfect, or otherwise nothing else is good enough, you almost don't get a lot done. Because when you want to start something and you have it,
Yeah, that's perfectionism, and it usually stems from not feeling good enough. So you try to be perfect so that nobody could criticize you. For example, I could feel that I'm not a international PhD researcher with 3 PhDs before commenting. I'm a psychotherapist, I'm a good one, I do a great job, but I'm not the best in the world. I fight for something that is very deeply important to me, which is inner freedom and outer freedom, from the chains, etc., etc., etc. But I'm not a researcher, but I say what I feel about the situation, what I know, and I share that with you. And I don't need to be perfect so for some of you to enjoy. And some of you would say that I should not be speaking because I'm not an international PhD, Oxford, Harvard authority on something. But, I still do it because I like that.
in the back of your mind that it needs to be perfect, you start doing it. It's taking you a long time. You're nowhere near perfect yet. It's just demotivating that you can't get the outcome you want, so you just quit. And then you maybe start again, but then you don't get the outcome you want, so you quit. Like, I feel like perfectionists don't get a lot done. Or maybe maximizers don't get a lot done. Who knows? I find a huge thing that helped me was just lowering the standard
Yeah,
post, or lowering the standard to
that's a good
complete
idea.
something. Like, rather than telling myself this needs to be 100%, I've had to tell myself sometimes, Christina, just make it 70% good enough and then post it. 70% good enough is good enough. Like, that's a solid mark, even if you think about it. Like, if that was a great post that said, not taking breaks
Yeah, I've been guilty of that, of not taking breaks and taking time for recovery.
is not a sign of strength, it's a sign of future weakness. And that made so much sense, because I remember at the time I think
That's
I
a
watched the
great
F1
point.
movie, which is really good, by the way. Definitely go and watch it. by the time this comes out, I think it might not even be in the cinemas anymore. But anyway, in F1, they literally change the tires every few laps. It really depends on the driver, but they change the tires every few laps because the tires wear out so quickly that like if you're still running on an old set of tires, like you are at risk. Like you have increased chance of like slipping.
Yeah, but usually we don't get a team to help us, recover enough.
Things can go wrong if you don't change the tires. So it's almost like a break in F1 is essential. Like you cannot just keep going and keep going and keep going. You do have to run the risk of like being behind for a few seconds because you have to stop, get the tires changed. You have to do it as quickly as possible. Then you're back on the race. That break is not optional. Like you have to have a break because if you don't have a break, there's a risk of a future injury, a future issue, a future mistake. Like you need the breaks. And so then when I saw the movie, I saw that quote, I kind of thought about it for myself and I was like, oh my gosh, not taking breaks isn't a sign of strength. It's a sign of a future weakness because something could go wrong. I could get burnt out. I could like hit a wall. I could crash. Like you never know. And a lot of the time, like our motivators
That's a
for
good
this,
point,
say you're
lady.
also a workaholic or maybe even you're a perfectionist. Like
Yeah, workaholic is an addiction because you think that you can earn your worth by outworking everyone.
you have these huge urges like to keep working or to do things perfectly, and like you have exactly where you are seeking external validation, because if you don't know what it is more, that's where you're going
to the trick, my friends, when you become innerly free, you get to validate yourself. You don't need the outside to validate you anymore. That's a big relief to be in.
get burnt out more, exhausted more, fed up more. And I think it's helpful to know exactly what your validation almost akin.
Okay, now before we go, I offer one-on-one if you want to work with me on your inner freedom and to be free from society's shackles and the beliefs that society instilled in you that doesn't help you but makes you to live in pain and agony. It's going to be all in the comments below and in the description, of course.
Achilles is,
and don't forget to subscribe for more videos,
because this is the area where you seek external validation the most. But again, more on that in this video, and you can download that workbook in the top of the description. Not let long-term impact of meditation, and I really zoom out on my early 20s. Meditation has changed my life for sure. Meditation is just a form of stillness, and I actually think
I have my ideas about meditation. Maybe I will share it in another video, but usually it doesn't work. It's like a cool aid, but it doesn't resolve anything usually.
The thing that I want to close on is actually stillness as a whole. You still feel somewhat burnt out. You still feel somewhat like you haven't, still lingers with us as ourselves. Choose your weapon. Choose whatever you choose. Regular stillness or meditation almost teaches you to reconnect with the human part of yourself. Has value. 10 minutes of you is 10 minutes of you. We've almost confused the value with the work rather than.
So, yes, okay. Let's wrap this up. So, the most important thing, as I've seen it in my life, is getting to a point of inner freedom when you get to decide from your inside out who you want to be, what you want to be, what you want to do, based on who you are, not on anybody else. So here lies the trick, and that's the most important part. And I sincerely believe that stillness, meditation, all those things, it's okay, but it won't get to the point where you want to be. So if you feel inspired, I'm right here for you. See you in the next one.